Hello and welcome to Culture Over Coffee, a podcast focused on improving company culture and fostering employee engagement. Every week we chat with experts and thought leaders about the latest information and proven practices you can use to reduce regrettable turnover, increase productivity on your team, and retain key customers. So pour a cup of your favorite brew and join us. I'm your host, Beth Sunshine, SVP at Up Your Culture and the Center for Sales Strategy. In this episode, we're taking time to debunk the all too prevalent myth that good company culture is simply nice to have. Just like our guest today says, what made you successful won't necessarily keep you there. Joining me to help break down why company culture is key to long-term success is Pamela McGee, President of the Greater Orlando Society of Human Resources. Pamela makes so many valuable points, like how a strong company culture makes it that much easier for your organization to put out fires, why focusing on your culture is instrumental in retaining your top performers, and lastly, how good culture can help transform your company into an employer of choice. Hi, Pamela. I've been looking forward to meeting you today, and thank you so much for joining me for a little Culture Over Coffee.
Yes.
We're going to have some fun today. More now, I think, than ever before, I hear business leaders talking about company culture. I think it's increasingly understood that a strong culture is a really good thing when it comes to attracting top talent, retaining top talent, but I'm still not sure how often leaders connect what's happening in their culture to their bottom line. So I'm really excited to get your perspective on all of this. Just excited to connect with you. Are you ready to jump in?
Appreciate the opportunity.
Very good. All right. So as a certified professional in human resources, and we're so lucky to have you here today, you're an expert in building strong internal relationships within organizations. So you're the perfect person to ask. How would you describe why a strong company culture is important?
A strong company culture is important because of the bottom line. You can't do anything without employees. So you have individuals and employees these days that are looking for opportunities. They want a permanent position. They don't want to jump around. That's not their goal. They're looking for a career, and they're looking for an opportunity for growth, for their professional development. A lot of individuals, in the past have, especially with COVID, jumped from position to position, seeking to find that perfect fit that's going to meet work-life balance and so on. So, a company that understands the culture is important to its employees. They benefit from engagement. They have collaborative a culture, which is positive energy. It helps the brand. Those individuals, when they're going out for coffee with their friends, they're going to talk about their organization and how they're happy about that brand they work for, and then it transforms your company for the positive, for a great team environment.
Yeah, that's interesting to hear about because, everyone's been talking for the last couple of years about the Great Resignation and just all that's happening within the world of work. So it's interesting to hear your take that people aren't looking to jump around. They're actually looking for something else. So thinking about what they're looking for, what I have found in working with companies on the topic of culture, a lot of times people confuse what I would consider fun activities. So pizza parties, ice cream socials, ping pong in the break room, things like that, with a strong company culture. So I want to explore that a little bit with you. How would you describe the difference between a fun place to work and a workplace where people are deeply engaged in what they're doing?
Well, you hear about the stories of different some of the top 500 companies. They do have those aspects of the ping pong and the flexibility, but you go back to find out, is the core job being done? It's great to be able to take a break, or the fun activities make it easier to come to work, do things to support each other. But an engaged culture is one that is not only are you participating in those fun things, but when you take that time with your peers and then you go into a project meeting and you're able to collaborate, in a manner that's both professional but still personal, because you all are on the same page and you have a better understanding of what needs to get done. It makes the work environment more cohesive when you have an engaged workforce. They understand from the employer's perspective, what the goal is, and they appreciate, those fun things at work that can happen. And it helps alleviates the stress, which is a lot of mental health and opportunity where businesses aren't capitalizing to support their employees a lot, lately. So an engaged workforce is going to be a workforce that understands the culture, understands the mission, and appreciates those fun times at work, but understand there's an ultimate goal we still got to achieve.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, the engagement is based on, in your opinion, lots of things, and actually fun activities are one of those things. They feed into or further enhance the engagement. It doesn't make someone engaged, but it is an important part of what needs to happen. And I like the way you drew the correlation between if you play ping pong with someone, or if you have those sort of human personal moments when you're collaborating in a work environment, it might even be improved collaboration. I've never really expressed it that way, but yeah. I like the way you said that.
Well, it goes back to there for a long time. You don't see a lot of it now, but team building exercises. A lot of companies used to take their primary or core groups or departments out to team building sessions to climb the rocks, or do trails, so that they can kind of have those kumbaya moments and work together. But it's those times, that the down times, that help you kind of get more insight into how a person thinks or what may be going on with them. To a lot of individuals have so many other things happening behind the scenes with their personal lives that it comes to work, no matter how often or you try to make that not happen, it does. But you can relate to someone that may be struggling, but they're trying to work for the ultimate goal to get the job done for the company.
Yeah, I guess it boils down to the human part of human resources.
Exactly.
We are all humans. These relationships, I think, probably feed into that so much. That was interesting. So I think it's hard for many business leaders to maintain a strong focus on their company culture, even though they know it's important. Any business leader today really does understand, I believe, that company culture is important, but there are so many other priorities that seem more urgent. There are, sirens blaring that call their attention. And it seems to me that company culture is always the thing that you think, well, we'll worry about that tomorrow. We'll focus on that later. So a few questions for you related to that. My first one is, especially during a downturn in the economy, like we're experiencing right now, how would you explain why a company culture, a strong culture, is more than just a nice thing to have?
I believe it's more than a nice thing we have to have, is because if you have that strong company culture, you can effectively put out those fires, in a better way that supports the ultimate goal. You have individuals that remain and stay on track to get the job done because they understand the mission and the ultimate hopefully it depends on the product that you're doing. So you may be trying to build widgets, but what can those widgets do to support, your company and the ultimate goals of the company, so to be able to have it as a nice thing, it's not enough anymore. If you want to stay around, as an organization and continue to grow, it's more than a nice thing from the employee perspective.
For sure. And listening to you talk reminded me of an Oprah Winfrey quote. And I wish I had the quote in front of me because I'm going to totally bungle it. But essentially, she said something like, everyone wants to ride with me in the limo, but an engaged employee is the one who's going to ride with me when the limo breaks down and I have to take the bus. And that's kind of what I'm hearing you say in the tough times when it's not so easy, when, things aren't smooth sailing, when people are engaged, they're willing to go that tougher route with you because they feel invested in it too. So interesting takeaway.
Commitment. Yeah,
Yes.
they're willing to commit because they believe in the goal, they believe in the mission, and that's how you, as our company, as leaders, relay that message. Is action speaks louder than words. So it's more than okay. We've got this project. I did a great job, but then what about that project I didn't accomplish? But there were hiccups along the way. Did you see and support me during that time? So are you committed to me, and then I'll commit to you.
I love that commitment. That's sort of the bottom line, I think, of everything that we're talking about. That's great. What are some of the most tangible effects or outcomes that you've seen as a result of a good company culture throughout your career? Like, what are the rewards for taking the time and putting the effort into a culture?
Retention. I mean, you see now the jobs numbers are much better now, but there was a time for the most part it is employee oriented right now, looking for a position in a role. You can look and decide where you want to go. But if you've got that culture that employee don't want to leave because they feel that you're listening to them, they feel that they're being heard and supported. They feel that their work has value, and you see the accomplishments and the things they're trying to do to support the brand. Those are the things that will support a great culture. And professional development. A lot of people, individuals, want to continue to grow, and they want stay with an organization and be with an organization that's willing to support them in their development.
Yeah, so retention's a biggie. I don't want to put you on the spot asking you for numbers, so I won't. But I imagine as a SHRM expert, you're going to know some numbers related to the cost of attrition. It's expensive, isn't it?
It's extremely expensive. And what is not always taken into account, it's not just the cost of advertisement, putting that information out there for a posting. It's about the time on that one individual that has to do double duty. Yeah. Because there's no one in that role. Yeah. Or when you have multiple roles, and the burden that accompanies those employees that have to take on not only theirs but other job roles to keep the organization going. That can be taxing.
No kidding. And then I guess there's also the opportunity cost if somebody wasn't handling 2 job roles or spending their time trying to fill a position. What could they be doing to advance the company or to help a client? Like, it's mind-boggling to me, the cost of retention when you really factor in everything. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
So for those managers who want to make company culture a priority, people listening today who think, gosh, I know this is important. Hearing what Pamela is having to say about it, it's really kind of firing me up to want to do more with it. For those managers who mean well, they know it matters, but they consistently let it slip lower and lower on their priority list, what's the one piece of advice that you would give them to get them started?
I would say be intentional. So be intentional on what your goal is. And now journaling is so huge for individuals to write down what your goals are. What are you seeking? What are you trying to achieve? When you talk about what you believe is the company culture or how it should be, are your employees thinking the same thing? So, maybe you need to do some town halls, do some roundtable meetings, to find out from their perspective, what makes them stay, completing stay interviews. These are interviews where you're talking these to individuals that, are performing well, doing the job, but what makes them come back every day, and what can we improve on? It's about having conversations, being open to discuss, concerns, opportunities, issues, and let's talk about what's good. What's good that we can enhance. It's not always, the negative that companies have to concentrate on. What can we make better that we already got going for us?
So I like this. So town hall meetings, that's kind of gather a lot of people around maybe the whole company or a whole
department at a time, division.
Department.
Yeah.
Okay. And then in those kinds of forums, and you said a roundtable too, is that more of a smaller group?
It would be a smaller group. You can identify, maybe you take one person from each department, to be that person, that point of contact, that spokesman, and to provide some ideas, and they can kind of do the groundwork for you ahead of time. Hey, this is the topic, ask your team, talk to your department, bring the ideas to the roundtable, and let's together, work on some ideas or possibilities, to enhance, improve, or make the changes to our culture.
That's great. So it's an open, honest conversation where, we talk a lot about the importance of psychological safety, where people feel like they can voice their honest opinions or voice what they're hearing from their people, get it all out on that round table, and then start thinking about what could improve it and sharing. I love the thinking there.
Yeah. And you think about it, most organizations would love to they want to be that employer of choice. Yeah. Who is it? I want to be, you see a lot of, when you look at the articles that come out about the best companies to work for from the employee's perspective, what are they doing to make the employees feel that this is the place I want to be? And you see a lot of it, money and compensation is always important, but people spend more time at work than they do with their families. So they want to be in an environment that makes them feel whole, that makes them feel that they have value added to that organization, that they are, trusted and depended on. And then, that an organization and the leaders see them as valuable assets, to support the brand and the goal.
That's great. I like the way you phrased it makes them feel whole. I think that's a cool way, just a cool vision of what we're talking about here. So once they pinpoint what the difference makers are, what makes our company unique, what do our people really value in our culture, it's almost like a series of talking points. Now they can start sharing that with job candidates, posting that across social media, and really identifying what makes them stand out, I guess.
Right. And you hear about companies have a total rewards package, they talk about it. That's a great place to have it, put that statement, those things that are part of our culture that makes us, that go-to organization you want to come and stay with, because you see the future opportunity. You have employees, companies that import or have the mentor program. Someone comes in, they have an individual that not just shows them the new job, but mentors them and supports them and provides them that guidance outside of their supervisor, are extremely successful, with making sure that they do everything from day one to keep that employee.
Mentor program, what a great way to reinforce all of this. And I don't know how many employers do that, like literally list it in their benefits package. You will be given a mentor. Any of these things we're talking about really does belong in that list of what benefits you'll receive here, huh?
Yeah, and the total rewards. And the reality is now it's hard. A lot of organizations don't have the manpower and so on, but there's always something you can try to do. To keep, you spent a lot of time and money on hiring this new person, and the time and the loss of jobs or work that was not accomplished because you didn't have this person in role, you want to do what it takes, to keep them, to make sure that they stay engaged, they stay positive, they see, the opportunity and referrals. Oh my goodness, a company culture that is positive, that is beneficial for the employees to want to grow, they're going to bring others into that organization.
That is so true. We do an annual study. Every year we do this, and actually ours has not been finalized yet. We're finishing it up right now. So it's going to be a few weeks yet. But we do an annual study where we interact with all of our clients, and we ask them to think about any superstar talent that they've hired in the last year in any job role, and then tell us, how did they find these talented people? What source did they delivered that talent to them? And every year, this is either our 7th or our 8th year running. I think this is year 8. Referrals is number one. It's the number one way companies are finding their most talented people. So I'm hearing what you're saying, that you have to create a place where people feel that feeling and would want to refer their company to someone that they care about.
Yeah. And I think it's important too that when we talk about culture, we're talking from the CEO down to the janitor. They're all part of the organization. Right. If each one did not do their role, somehow that could possibly negatively affect the brand and the goal of the organization. So every role is important. It doesn't matter who it is.
Well said. Yes, I totally agree. Okay, so last question for you. If you could wave a magic wand and improve one thing related to how business leaders view company culture, how they create a strong company culture, what would you do? What would your wish or your magic be?
I would say I would ask them to have an open mind and listen. So what got you there, where you're at, your success won't necessarily keep you there if you're not being open to changes and adjustments. These last 3 years with COVID made us change in the way we treat people in remote work. Some companies never had that on the table. It was not an option. Now, a lot of organizations see that it's a viable byproduct of how they're getting things done. And because they're open to it, they didn't have a choice. But be open to changes and adjustment. And if you can't do the change, be willing to explain the reasons why, not just say no. You'll get more positive feedback and understanding from your employees if you just explain the whys.
So be more open to change. I'm also hearing from you, maybe even consider getting a little uncomfortable if there's a good, if there's a positive benefit to it. And if you just can't do it, be honest. Be open and transparent about why.
Yeah, explain the whys. People, they may come up with another alternative based on the whys that you give them that will work.
That's true. And at least they know what's going on behind the scenes, what the thinking is. People, I think, feel so much more comfortable when they understand the bigger picture. So I think that would be a good thing to wave your magic wand and get.
Yes,
very
absolutely.
Cool. And a great place to end today, I think. Thank you, Pamela, for the time that you've spent talking about culture over coffee with me. You've shared a lot of great information. You're such a good source for this. Some really good ideas that I think listeners will find valuable, and some nuggets they can really do something with right away. Now, for those listening, I'm going to drop Pam's LinkedIn information in the show notes so you can connect with her if you're interested. I'm also going to give you a link to a self-inventory checklist that I think you'll enjoy, so you can check the health of your own company culture if you'd like. So thank you, everyone. It's a journey to up your culture and elevate employee engagement. Enjoy that journey. Thanks so much for spending time with us on Culture Over Coffee. If you've enjoyed the conversation, be sure to subscribe and join us for every episode. For more helpful information on the topics of company culture and employee engagement, visit us at upyourculture.com.